Since 1989, Fear Factory has toured around the world with bands like Pantera, System of a Down, Slipknot, Sepultura, and Korn, just to name a few. And in late 2020, the band's longtime vocalist Burton C. Bell announced his departure from the group. Since that time, the band's legendary guitarist Dino Cazares has embarked on a worldwide search for a new vocalist. And it was truly a worldwide search indeed, with the band today announcing their new singer Milo Silvestro, who hails from Italy, an unknown musician with a family of musicians who is stepping into one of the most beloved heavy metal bands and is going to be going on tour in just a few days. We're joined by both now for a special interview with the new singer of Fear Factory and Dino Cazares.
I'm happy to be here talking to you because this is our first time, and I follow you. I subscribe to your channel on YouTube, so
thank you, man.
And I always look for you guys to be honest and true about what you guys report. So I'm very happy.
Dude, you've been doing this since 1989. You have really consistently been excellent over that period of time. And now you're ushering in a new era of Fear Factory. You've got Milo Silvestro now announced and confirmed as the vocalist of the band after a very tedious search for a new vocalist. And so first I want to kind of go through, what was that like? What was that search like, looking for so many people? I know you did your due diligence. How did that work?
It definitely took a long time. One of the reasons is also it happened during COVID. So there was a big lockdown. So I had to have everybody send in video submissions, and there was a lot of them to go through. It was me and my manager at the time were just going through them, sifting through all of them, going through all the different emails, and it was really hard, to do all that stuff. But I wanted to give everybody a shot, and I wanted to check out every video, and I did, and there was at least 300 submissions. You know what I mean? Some of them were jokey videos where guys were farting in microphones saying I could be your lead singer, which would be cool to someday release those. But there was a lot of funny videos, and there was like some really, really, really heavy contenders that I was really interested in trying out. Now, the problem was during COVID, I couldn't exactly fly people in because, everybody was on lockdown. And, if the person was from Europe or wherever, there was travel restrictions. So I wasn't able to actually get people here until like 2021 when the travel restrictions were lifted, and I was able to get people here to audition. But Milo, however you want to say it, was one of those guys that kept going back to you because I saw him on a YouTube video of in 2020 doing one of our songs. He was playing every instrument. He was playing guitar, drums, bass, and doing vocals and some keyboards. And so I was like, wow, that was really impressive. And he also did a medley of our first album, Soul in a Machine, of every song. So I was like, wow, this kid's very impressive. So So I started going down that rabbit hole of who he was, and I started finding a bunch of stuff about him. I'm like, wow, this guy's really cool. So he was one of the guys that he was in the top 5 that I got out here to actually audition and physically see him face to face and, audition these people. And he was the one guy that I always kept going back to.
All the way from Rome?
From Rome, Italy, yes.
And so that must have been a quite an adjustment. Was that his first time coming here to the U.S.?
I believe it was his first time, yes. It was his first time in L.A.
So Burton C. Bell leaves the band in 2020, obviously in the middle of COVID. You see all of this stuff. You see the vocal situation, having to go through this. The fans have high expectations. It's clear that you did your homework going through all of this. So kind of what can you tell people from your knowledge of Milo and his talents, kind of what they can expect to see from you all on this upcoming tour? You're doing the Rise of the Machine tour with Static X, which is kicking off this month. So he's going to be out there on the road very soon.
It's kicking off in a few days, dude. In a few days. Saturday is our first show. So it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited. We've been preparing for this past month for this live show, getting our whole live production, in order, and of course, getting Milo. But I have 100% confidence that it's going to be killer once we get out there. Once is because when I auditioned Milo, every time I threw a song at him, he knew it. So he actually did his first audition. I was so impressed that he did 18 songs. I was like, What about this one? What about that one? What about this one? And every one I threw at him, he just nailed it every time. So, we're 100% confident he's going to be great out there. He comes from a musical family. His mother and father are professional musicians. His dad has a studio that he works with his dad in the studio. He plays drums in his dad's blues band. I mean, the guy's overqualified. I'll put it that way.
That's so awesome. So, he comes in, and I'm wondering, has there been any new music in the works? Is there anything like that that's kind of being kicked around with him?
100%. Yes, of course. We got stuff in the works, but I didn't want to. A lot of people are asking, like, what the fuck? Where's the new song? Where's this? Where's that? Blah, blah, blah. I understand people want, the internet these days, people want stuff instantly, and I get it. But I can't give it all to you at once. It's going to come in stages. The number one thing right now is that we got to do this tour. We got to get out there, and we got to show Milo who, show the world who he is, and new music will follow soon.
That's one of the things that I really respect about Fear Factory, though, is that you guys have never really painted by the numbers. Your discography really holds up, and it's not, you just don't throw things out there. There's not that typical just every 2 years we drop a new album. It's like you really kind of do wait and build that quality. I've been obviously in anticipation of this interview just going back through all the records, and it really does hold up. So I'm very much looking forward to kind of seeing the presence that he brings live on stage. As soon as the announcement came out earlier today, I went on YouTube and watched videos of him, and he does have a hell of a voice.
Yeah, we've been rehearsing like it's a live show. So that's how we've been doing it. We've been getting ourselves prepared, and mentally prepared, physically prepared, getting my right hand ready to go out there and just shred and have a great time. We can't wait to get out there. I know fans are going to be eager to see what's going on, whether they like it or not. They're going to be curious, which is really cool, and I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. Now, the one thing I want to say is that, look, I know that it's very important, to the fans on who we get to fill this position, right? Because he's got some big shoes to fill, and he's very well aware of that. I've got him very prepared for, what comes his way, whether it's internet trolls, backlash, or praises, or just people trying to take advantage of him, So I've kind of been mentoring him in that way. So to get fully prepared, not only just for live, but just for everything else that comes along with it. And he's loving it. He's excited. He understands what's coming up, and we're very well prepared. And so like, again, what I was saying, I know it's important on who I get to fill these shoes, and I know that I got the right guy. So.
Well, I want to say too, in that search process, how long ago did you actually decide on him being the vocalist, and kind of describe for me kind of how you broke that to him and what his reaction was?
Did you ever see that movie when the Metallica movie, when they told
Some Kind of Monster?
Yes, when they told Robert Trujillo he was in the band, he was jumping on the bed.
Yeah.
That was Milo.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It took a while for me to decide. Well, like I said, I kept going back to him. Everybody that auditioned, whether it was video, whether it was in person, I kind of kept going back to him, because during the physical audition, he totally blew me away that he knew all the songs. He's a huge fan, and that made a big difference as well. He knew all the songs. He knew the catalog. He was remembering parts that I forgot. You know what I mean? Because we have such an extensive catalog that it's hard for me to remember every little thing. And I got so many projects and so many riffs out there. It's hard to remember all the stuff, but he's such a huge fan of that way, and it definitely helps a lot in making that decision.
So also, when it comes to selecting a new vocalist for the band, there's two paths that you'll see bands take. They'll go with maybe a more well-known person that's previously been in other bands, and then someone like Milo, who, obviously is a talented musician, but not very well-known. Is that something that you thought about? Kind of, there are pros and cons to both approaches.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I actually did speak to some established musicians, but you would have to be taking them out of their band, you know what I mean? Or there would be a lot of scheduling conflicts, and there was just a lot of to me, a lot of cons with that, right? So I decided, okay, let's give an unknown a shot. It's not my first time doing this. I've done Divine Heresy, where I've given unknown guys a shot, and boom, they've blown up to do other things themselves. But and I took that approach. I was like, let's do it again. Let's find that diamond in the rough, that guy who's never had that shot. And I thought that was the better approach to this. And I love it. I'm glad that I'm able to, give what I know to somebody else who's coming up a shot, you know what I mean? And teach them what you know. I mean, I'm 56 years old, you know what I mean? He's 35, you know what I mean? I got a lot more experience in the game, not just in music, but in life in general. So, yeah, I've just been giving him a lot of advice on what to do and how to do it. Because, when I'm gone, he'll start his, this is him starting his career now, and hopefully he can go on and do bigger and better things besides,
Well, I mean, he's certainly going to make a name for himself, stepping into this, because there's been a lot of anticipation, for Fear Factory to announce this vocalist. You posted the other day, it's like a gender reveal party. I thought that was so funny. It was funny.
And you know when people put the smoke, ours is blue. It's blue.
Yes. So, you bring him in, and it's an exciting new chapter for Fear Factory. And how long has it been since you've been able to tour?
Oof. I think the last tour we did was 2016 was the last.
Man, I bet you're dying to get back out on the road.
Yeah, I'm dying to get back on the road as Fear Factory, but I was touring with Soulfly and Assassino, my other band, in between that time. So
I just saw Soulfly the other night. Oh my goodness, they're amazing live. Max Cavalera, did he kind of discover Fear Factory, or tell me that story? That's a legendary story I've kind of heard about.
That's a good story. Yeah. The first time I met Max, we were at a music convention called the Foundations Forum, right? And it was a music convention in the early 90s, and it was about 1991. And some guy grabbed my arm at the bar, and I'm like, "Who the hell is this guy? Like, get off me!" And it was like, "Hey, Dino and Max Cavalera, hey, Sepultura." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, I didn't know who he was at first, right? I thought it was just some drunk dude grabbing my arm. And then we just ended up. Right there, we just connected and we just bonded and we were just having a good time. We had a few drinks. And I said, "Hey, you know what? I got this band called Fear Factory. I got the demo in my pocket." And he goes, "All right, let's go to my hotel room. I got a ghetto blaster. We can listen to it." It actually was a Walkman. So he put it in his Walkman, put it on. He's like, "Oh my God." He just instantly fell in love with it. And he goes, "Yeah, I keep the tape." And I'm like, No. I can't keep the tape. That's the only cassette I have. So you got to give it back. He goes, "No, I keep tape. I give it to Roadrunner." I'm like, "It's the only one I got." So I had to wrestle him on this bed just to get it out of it. And next thing you know, he tells Monty Connor, the A&R guy at Roadrunner at the time, tells him. And next thing you know, I'm getting phone calls from Roadrunner Records saying, "Hey, you need to check out this tape that Max Cavalera was talking about." And so I ended up making a dub copy, and I ended up sending it up to Roadrunner. And boom, that's how we got signed. Thanks.
So he really was that impressed that he really did approach the label. That's so rare, because when you're an established musician, really people are passing their stuff to you all the time and they're sending stuff to you. So that really speaks a lot, and of a guy that is a legend in the game like Max to see that. And obviously you look at what Fear Factory has done and the discography again, and it speaks for itself. I mean, it's incredible. So I also want to talk about, oh no, sorry, go ahead.
And then later on, when I started to become successful, that's what I did for other bands in Los Angeles. I got Cold Chamber signed, Spine Shank signed. I gave Roadrunner Static X, System of a Down, In This Moment. I gave all, but they ended up getting signed to other labels. But so I was helping out bands here in LA that I really liked.
Tell me about Spine Shank, dude. I love Spine Shank, man. Wow. Tell me about how that happened.
It's funny. I was just talking to Johnny Santos yesterday. Yeah, he lives up in Portland now, so he's gonna see me up in Portland.
Sonic of the what's the name of his band? He has another band. Silent Civilian. They got new music out. Silent Civilian. Check them out. Oh my God, they rock. So go ahead. Yeah, tell me about that.
So Spine Shank was just one of those local bands that were here in the local scene. You gotta remember, about 94, 95, LA was just popping with new bands. Boom. Ever since like the success of Fear Factory, and then Korn came along after that. Boom, it just started to blow up here in LA. There was a huge scene. So you got, System of a Down, Spine Shank, Cold Chamber, many other bands that I can just go on and go on. Snot, a lot of bands. And so I was just seeing the rise of that, and I was like, wow, I need to help these guys out because they were all my friends, playing in the local bar scene, local club scene here in LA, and it was exciting at that time, really exciting. And a lot of those bands became hugely successful bands. And so I just started giving Roadrunner these tapes of these bands, and they were like, okay, we'll start giving you a little bit of a commission. Please find us bands. So I was kind of like a little bit of a scout here in LA doing that stuff.
Well, I mean, certainly with bands like Spine Shank, that's the sound that I'm like, we need more bands coming up like that. We need more Fear Factories. We need more Spine Shanks. We need more Cold Chambers. So what do you think kind of today?
But hold on. But fast forward a little bit to 1999, when Fear Factory finally headlined on their Obsolete tour. We did a U.S. tour. So I took all my friends on tour. So it was Fear Factory, System of a Down, Head PE,
wow,
Spine Shank, and Static X. That was a tour that happened. That was like sold out everywhere. It was amazing tour. It was like having all your buddies on one tour, and it was great.
How'd you meet System?
Shavo.
Love Shavo.
Shavo used to ride his skateboard to our rehearsal spot because he went to the same high school as our drummer Raymond at the time, and so they kind of knew each other from school, and so they would skateboard to our rehearsal room during our first album, Soul of a New Machine. And
that's awesome.
Even though Shavo was a few years younger, he was out there hanging out at a rehearsal spot listening to us and Soul of a New Machine and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Shavo rules too, and speaking about the metal scene, the rock scene today, it's doing well, it's different, times are different, everything like that. But what would you, not to say that there's anything wrong with it right now, but what would you, if there's anything is there anything it's missing? Do you think that there's anything that we could build upon in today's genre? And, for me personally, I want more of the new metal sound to kind of come back and continue to kind of permeate into the game. For you, how do you feel as someone who is incredibly qualified to, talk about this genre?
Well, one of the cool things about this tour that we're going to be on is pretty much a 90s throwback. Because you got Fear Factory, Static X, Mushroom Head on half the shows, Dope, right? And a couple other bands, Twisted and some other bands that are going to be jumping on and off the tour.
Yes, so Rise of the Machine tour.
It's kind of a 90s throwback. One of the things that I would like to see is, more local scene support. You know what I mean? People go to concerts, don't get me wrong, but I want people, because like back in the 90s when all these other bands were coming up, there was a scene. People were going out every night to see these new local bands. And I think that's, the more support that we can all get, the better. You know what I mean? And that's what I think keeps this thriving.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. And, I also would like to see more bands being, you look at a band like Falling in Reverse with a vocalist like Ronnie Radke. I want more shit stirring. We need, you got to have a certain element of craziness in this game, I think,
I agree. You got to have a little bit of an ego, not like an over ego, but a little bit of ego. Yeah. But not every musician is cut out for that. Not everybody musician can handle that, because with Radke, there's a lot of, backlash as well. So, you got to have thick skin in this game to be able to handle all that and not.
Yeah. He embraces it well. He embraces it very well.
So not everybody has that skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it is definitely a skill. So, I understand that you are with the new vocalist now. I think it would be a great time to speak to him and kind of get his perspective on this and, kind of see how he feels about this amazing news.
Yes. Okay. Everybody, this is Milo Silvestro from Rome, Italy.
Welcome, Milo.
We call him the Italian stallion.
Literally Italian. So here he is stepping in right now. Welcome, Milo, and congratulations on the gig. That is massive. What does it feel like stepping into this role?
Well, first of all, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. It's really like unbelievably surreal. You know, that's the word I'm gonna use for the rest of my life to describe this experience. You know, surreal. You know, when people, you know, friends and family go like, "Oh, now your dream came true," I go like, "This wasn't even a dream. It was beyond the expectations." You know,
Right.
so I still realizing it. I am in the realization process, actually. You know.
So you're a longtime fan of Fear Factory. You know, kind of how did you get into metal? How did you get into this style of music?
Okay, first of all, like Dino was mentioning, I feel so blessed to come from a musical family. Both my parents are musicians. They've been working with music, like professional musicians, since forever. So my mom, fortunately enough, is an amazing vocal coach and singer, like rock, blues, gospel, jazz, and a little bit of everything, like classic rock from the 70s, you know. And my dad, it's a lot into acoustic blues, finger picking, David Crosby, James Taylor, that kind of stuff. So they gave me this huge passion for not just the music, American music in general, but also the sound of American English, you know, which is something I really like, you know. I find it so musical. So I had this huge musical background because of them, which is so thankful. And you know, I've been doing pro musician, like mostly drummer. When I was 12, I started playing drums or percussion. I studied both, like Latin percussion, congas, timbales, whatever, you know, and rock drums, of course. And so I've been playing with both my parents, mostly with my dad, sometimes with my mom. I've been playing like blues, swingy kind of things with my dad, and bossa nova, all kinds of, you know, music, American music. And I've been trained as a sound engineer. So I run a studio with my dad. I do film scoring. I compose a few things. I did conservatory, classical percussion, and conservatory in Rome, Santa Cecilia. So I had the luck of being like classical trained for like 3 years, and so you know, a lot of things. But passion for metal, to answer your question, actually started, I think I was like 15, 16. And of course, late 90s, I was a teenager. But it was when I was 15, I think it was like 2002, 2001 already. So I was falling in love with all those bands that were huge at the time, you know, like Fear Factory, you know, all those bands from the early 90s up till the early 2000s. So Pantera, of course, Metallica was my first starter, like everyone, like, right? So Metallica, a little bit of, you know, Pantera, Fear Factory, Korn, Slipknot, you know, kinds of bands from that era, you know. So
while you're in Italy, though, you're very interested in this kind of American wave of music. You're paying attention to the music that's over here while you're living over there.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I actually should, you know, I think as a lot of people, my story was pretty much cliche. You know, your best friend at school that introduced you to, you know, metal, be like Metallica, Korn, whatever, you know, was really popular at the time. I was first introduced to Metallica at 14 years old in high school, first year of high school. Then the year later, I had another friend of mine that was doing DJ. Like he was doing like rock parties where he played like music like Slipknot, Korn, System of a Down, of course Metallica, you know, stuff like that, Static X, Cold Chamber. So I had, thanks to him, I fell in love even more with that wave, you know. Yeah, basically I had a bunch of friends getting me into metal, like, you know, pretty much everyone.
And you play multiple instruments as well. I saw you're a drummer. Do you play guitar? Like in addition to being a vocalist, you play multiple instruments.
Yeah, I mean, I hardly identify myself like a guitar player, but you know, I just do you know, rhythmic, chuggy things. But that's what I like to do personally. My, you know, guitarist project. You know, like I have a band where I do guitar, like 7-string guitar, and
oh wow.
Yeah, mostly identify as a drummer.
You play with a 7-string, so is it like a progressive metal type thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of influence in that,
Yeah.
It's called skill gear. It's really
So stepping into this job, obviously, Fear Factory's had one vocalist for a very long period of time. There's high expectations from the fans. From Dino, obviously, they've done an extensive search and they've settled on you, which means that they think very highly of you and your talents. Do you feel any sort of sense of pressure to come out on this tour and deliver on those expectations? You seem like a very easygoing guy that's ready to do this.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I had to get ready to do that, both from physical and psychological perspective. Think of Dino, because he was constantly telling me, get prepared for this and that.
Yes,
because, of course, the man is skilled. He's been in the business for more than 30 years, of course. So I'm like, I'm here to learn.
Yes,
because the very first time for me. So yeah, definitely. I definitely feel ready for this new amazing adventure. My first touring experience ever, because I've been playing for 20 years, but mostly worked in the studio and I did gigs every now and then in Rome, in my city, few gigs abroad, few gigs in Italy, but mostly local gigs, just like acoustic gigs, stuff like that to, mostly make a decent living out of it, because I don't know here, but in Italy it's not so easy to make a living out of metal, so or original music in general. So,
same here.
But then there is a scene of very dedicated fans of metal in Italy, and it's kind of underground, but there are really a lot, and but yeah, for some reason, original music in general, you struggle a lot with it. So I was trying to do everything I could do to make a living out of it in the music area. So I've been like a sound engineer. I've been I still am a film scoring composer.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
so you know how to write music and everything. So that's another thing, an asset you can bring to the table with Fear Factory going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I at first I didn't know if Dino wanted me to just sing or use other features of mine, but I was really happy that since the first day of the audition, he was like, "Oh, so you do this and do that, so maybe you could program drums for the demo, or you could do this, or you could." Because
the studio. I mean, the studio. Your family owns a studio. That's a skill that most people don't have.
Yeah. I mean, again, I feel so blessful for having, for being born in such a talented musical family. So, it's thankful to them that I got here,
And how does your family feel about this exciting news? What was their reaction, man?
I was talking with my dad like a few minutes ago. It was like, fuck yeah, here we go. A new star is born. He couldn't hold it, it was beyond enthusiasm, both him, my mom, and all family and friends fucking cheering up. It's a great day today, because I'm really noticing something that you don't usually think about, in a normal day. But the thing is, you actually have a lot of loves, around you, a lot of friends that love you, support you. That's the most amazing feeling in the world, and not just friends, also random people. I get my phone blowing up, people go like, "Oh, congratulations, man, you're the right fit." And it's really, the most amazing feeling in the world. Those people they don't even know me. Some of them didn't even heard me sing yet, and still they're cheering and go like, yeah, you can do it, congrats. And so I feel really blessed. I want to thank them all, because it's really an amazing experience.
And that's the metal family, it's like there's always going to be negativity and stuff like that, but I do think you're going to be widely embraced by the fans. You are not, I can say this just from already looking at your stuff, you are certainly qualified to be in this band. I mean, you know your shit, you're talented, And it is intriguing to me to bring in somebody that it more so than bringing in someone that's already kind of known, you know what to expect with you, that is unique. And I can tell from talking to Dino that this is something they put a lot of thought into. And, you know, to me, it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing you on this Rise of the Machine tour, which is kicking off in just a few days. How are you preparing for that? I'm sure you've been preparing for this for quite some time.
Yeah, well, you know, I always mention, you know, my good friend Marco, which is the singer of my band. He's a kick-ass kung fu instructor, and he had my ass working for months. So I was like, man, please, you know, get me on shape, you know, as far as breath and stamina go, because I really need to get this, you know, done in the right.
So you know kung fu as well?
I mean, not that well. I'm a very beginner. Okay.
Like if someone rushes the stage, though, you could hit them with like a hard chop or something if you had to.
I always been really, really passionate about martial arts and sport, you know, combat sports, but actually for some reason it just got into it later, you know, my 30s. So it's been like 4 years, but this last year was the only, you know, the very first year that I was doing it like constantly, you know. So like every 3 days a week, you know. So we do a lot of fucking, you know, muscular preparation and, you know, stamina exercise, you know, all kind of things that get you prepared physically, you know, for such a huge thing. Because, you know, you could still like singing like 40 up to an hour and a half or even like 2 hours a night. It's not like a huge effort, but I also like with my other bands to go crazy on stage, you know, so going crazy, jumping and do crazy shit,
yes.
And also screaming, it takes a lot of force. So I want to be, you know, 100% spot on, right?
And that's what we need, you know. That's I hope that you don't hold back. I hope you really go for this, and I'm sure you will. Like, you know, I'm sure the position that you're in right now is one where it can be a little nerve-wracking, it can be pressure, but most people are rooting for you to succeed. I certainly am, you know, so I hope that you take this job and fucking go for it 110%, because we need new blood in this game. You're a younger musician, and, you know, it really is cool to see. You have a very cool story. So, you know, to see you coming from Italy to step into this legendary metal band and really go for it, you know, I am very excited to see, and I'm going to come to a show. I've got to see this live because it's been too long. I haven't seen Fear Factory in gosh, I don't know, maybe 10 years. So it's gonna be really cool, man. So congratulations on this. This is exciting. This is a very big deal. I'm sure the fans are gonna welcome you with open arms. The Rise of the Machine tour with Static X kicks off here in just a few days. So anybody watching this, you're seeing this new vocalist. You don't have to sit around and ask any questions. Go see a show and get your questions answered. Go get a ticket. Show up. The hype is real. The anticipation for this is real. And I'm pumped for you, man. So one last question. What would you say to any of the Fear Factory fans? You want to speak to them directly. What's your message to those fans that are kind of wondering, okay, who is this guy?
Okay, like, first of all, I want to thank everybody, those who did message me and those who are going to message me in the next days, I guess, for all the love and support, which, you know, of course, this is a new game for me, so I was a little bit worried about the hating thing, which was going on when they started speculating about my name. It could be that guy. Some of them were like, you know, fuck the Italian guy, you know, spaghetti eater. You know, he sucks, you know, or, you know, and any kind of hating shit. So, but actually, until now, it's been all positive, all fucking, you know, like you said, welcoming me with open arms, and I really have to say thank you all. This is really important for me. So really thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And also I want to say that, as Dino mentioned before, me, him, we are all, the Fear Factory team, we're all, you know, really, you know, dedicated to make this right, because we know how important it is for the fans. And being a fan myself, like a crazy fan for almost 20 years, I know how important it is for other fans to have a guy that actually pays respect and you know, gives justice to the legacy of this huge you know, iconic band. You know, I was also like, you know, I was also thinking Fear Factory for some way, you know, they were big but never some people never got proper recognition for being pioneer of certain things. So I'm also here to pump that recognition. Like, we're Fear Factory, and I'm proud of being here because I'm militating in a very iconic band that
right.
So I'm really, really proud for it. And so again, don't worry, because we're working so hard to make it right, not just from a vocal standpoint, because I've been studied this vocal style of the band for years, and of course right now even more, but also I'm a crazy effect freak, so I also brought the cool like effects to recreate some of the vocal effects, like the beautiful delays of the melodic parts, some filters, bandpass filters, stuff like that, so
and all of this from the studio.
Yeah, I was also with my other band. I was also like an effect freak. I was a lot in electronic music back in the my teenagery. Like synthesizer, turntable, shit like that. So I had like a couple cool effects that could recreate an actual vocal effects you hear on the record. Like some flangers, some delay, stuff like that. Because I'm a freak about it. I think it's amazing to recreate that studio sound live. Because it's part of the band sound, right? So we're working hard for you guys. Don't worry about it. And also I want to say to the haters that I totally understand that you can't be liked by anyone. So I totally understand them. The only thing I don't understand is the hating, like, oh fuck that, he sucks. But I get that people nowadays with social media, they want to actually they want to make themselves look like they are fucking music master. I know shit. I've been in music for and he sucks. I mean, okay, it's your opinion. I respect it, and I'm sorry if you don't like me, but this is what you're gonna get. So
right.
Again,
and you're ready to go full steam ahead, and I am so excited for you guys. This is a big day for Fear Factory. It's a big day for heavy metal. And, I'm confident from talking to you that you're going to go balls to the wall with this. So that's exactly what we need. And I'm pumped. And again, you're hitting the road in just a couple of days. And I'm sure we're going to have some music from you all at some point as well, which is also exciting. So again, man, congrats. Milo Silvestro from Italy, about to make a name for himself in heavy metal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thank you for finally having us on Rock Feed, man.
I know, dude. Dino, you're welcome anytime, man. You're a legend. I have so much respect for you and all of your accomplishments, and I'm such a fan of your music. It's been way too long. I can't believe I went a long time. I wasn't exactly doing interviews, and I just finally built this set in, so I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff like this.
Looks very pro back there.
Thank you, man. Thanks to Dino and Milo for joining us today. Of course, if you're new here at Rock Feed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We would really appreciate it if you're a new viewer. And check out the recommended video up on your screen.